nothing that I can do. I was walking, coming from where I was coming from. You understand? Only for guys, you understand? They pointed me with the guns. They took everything that I had in my pocket.
More licenses should be like issued and be monitored for how, like, if you have the ability to handle a gun, first of all, and like also, do you have the correct licenses, even though they are mostly trafficked because they are illegal, or some people just obtain them through criminal means.
I believe that if guns are legally bought, it will be traced as to where and when, you know, the shooting took place and who the rightful owner of the shooting is.
I do have faith in our South African police station, and I think more people should need to be deployed, actually employed as SABC members, as anti-gang members. We need more young, vibrant and fit guys to work with us to catch these criminals.
Maphosa ayazama ukwenza umsebenzi wabo yabo. Mara inkinga eyi-one. Angeke yonke into ibe perfect emhlabeni.
Mihla, namalanga, izifundazwe iGauteng, iKwaZulu-Natal Eastern Cape neWestern Cape zibika ukubulawa kwabantu ngezimbamu emizini yabo, ezindaweni zokuzijabulisa kanye nasezindleleni. Izibhamu ezingekho emthethweni mbukeli zisetshenziswa ukubulala, ukuphanga amabhizinisi, ukudunwa kwezimoto zemali, ukuthathwa kwezimoto ngendluzula kanye namanye amaningi nje amacala. INingizimu Afrika inezinga eliphezulu lokubulawa kwabantu emhlabeni, futhi ukutholakala kalula kwezibhamu yikona okubhebhethekisa kakhulu lesimo esibucayi. Kungenziwani ke mbukeli ukunqanda ukutholakala kalula kwezibhamu? Umunye wembuzo mbukeli esizobe siyidingida ohlelweni namhlanje. Asikubingelele sikwamukele ohlelweni Asikhulume Let's Talk. Mbukeli igama lami ngingubongiwe uMakhumalo wakwaZwane. Asikhumbuze ke mbukeli ukuthi ungaba ingxenye lolu hlelo ngokushayela ucingo sizwe umbono noma umbuzo wakho. Inombolo zethu zocingo 011-714-0677 noma 011-714-0678. Ungabuye futhi usithole kumakhasethi okuxhumana ku-X SABC Izindaba, kanti ku-Facebook ikhasi lethu SABC Izindaba. Ukuze kube lula ke mbukeli, qala ngo#Asikhulume, #SABC News, bese ke ubhala umbuzo noma umbono wakho. Asikhulume. Mbukeli, amalungu omphakathi asemawodi eNanda eThekwini abedinwe egane unwabo abemasha efuna ukujutshwa umbutho wamasosha ukulandela ukubulawa kwabantu abayisithupha ngasekuqaleni ngesonto eledlule. Mbukeli, izakhamuzi zibe nomhlangano ophuthumayo namaphoyisa aseNanda. INanda ke mbukeli isihlala iseyindabeni ngobugebengu esingabala kubo ukubulawa kwabantu, ukubanjwa kwenkunzi, ukudlwengula kwabesifazane kanye namaqembu emgulukudu. Ake sibuke na umbiko mbukeli.
Sisashubile isimo emawodi kulandela isigameko zobelelesi ekubukeka sengathi ziyanda kule ndawo. Izakhamuzi lapha zithi amaqembu emgulukudu ayazenzela nje.
Enough is enough. That is number one. Seemingly they are failing dismally to combine or to reduce the crime of Inanda because the people are still brutally killed by these criminals.
Umphakathi walapha ukumisense ukusebenza kuleli lokishi.
Asiwazi umsebenzi wamaphoyisa yintoni. Uba ngabe uhulumeni uyohluleka, makabuyisa amasosha, uba kabuyisa amasosha sizozenzela senqena ukuzenzela iyo nto sihlonipha umthetho.
Sikhathele Nkosi yami, sifuna ungathethi. Siyazincama ngoku if njengobani lemlela mhlawumbe mina ubusuku banamhlanje ndizibubona.
Amaphoyisa esifundazweni ayakuphika ke ukuthi iyawahlula impi nezigebengu. Umkhuzi wamaphoyisa esifundazweni uLieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhonazi uthi amaphoyisa kumele anikezwe ithuba lokuba enze umsebenzi wawo.
So iningi lomphakathi liyajabula ukusebenza amaphoyisa. Amawodi angaphansi kweNanda police station. Ngicabanga ukuthi bayazi umphakathi ukuthi i-provincial office ne-district kanye ne-stage kuningi sebekwenzile ukuzama ukulwisana nobugebengu endaweni yaseNanda.
Amaphoyisa athi azoqhubeka nokunkanisa kule ndawo. NginguSimphiwe Makhanya wezindaba ze-SABC ngisemawodi.
Mbukeli, about 1.2 million rounds of ammunition were stolen from a container yard in Durban in July 2021. According to reports, it's alleged that the ammunition was not in a high security facility. raising urgent questions about how this high-risk shipment was actually handled. Now, in conjunction with the flood of illegal weapons in recent years, this theft may help fuel criminal and political violence in this already volatile region, which has the highest rate of political assassinations in the country. Professor Khulufelo Rakubu, who is a criminologist, no Brigadier Lesejabopapa, who is the section head firearm compliance and enforcement from the South African Police Service. Good evening to you both, and thank you so much for your time. I'm going to start with you, Prof. From your point of view, when you look at what is taking place, for example, in a place like Inanda, the violence we see there, ubuye futhi mhlawumbe ubheke ukuthi kwenzakalani e-province Western Cape, ucabanga ukuthi ukubhebhetheka kwezibhamu, is it the only reason why we are seeing, in fact, such violent crimes unfold before our eyes?
It cannot only be a violent crime. It cannot only be availability of firearms. The lawlessness, and again, an understanding that our justice system is offender-centered, hence laxity around crime commission. We do not have harsher punishment because, like I said, our justice system is more focused on the offender than the victim. That is why they will not hesitate to commit crime. But when we look into we zoom into crime, the gun issues, that perpetuate level of criminality, availability and access and so forth. We do have a beautiful policy in place, but we have an implementation issue. Why do we have an implementation issue? Long-standing internal issues within our justice system, particularly the police, because they are supposed to assist with what? Implementation. We have, you find guns that are in the wrong hands. You find issues of corruption, maladministration and poor management and political infiltration have really played a huge role in the proliferation of what? Of firearms in South Africa.
Prof, in fact, Brigadier, how do you respond to just that?
Good evening, Bongiwe and the Prof, together with the audience. Yes, we do have gun laws, and they are, from the police perspective, being enforced to the best of our ability. But yes, we need the involvement of the community as well to help us, to help them as well. So laws are there to be implemented, they're being enforced. But then since the police cannot be at all the points, we need the collaboration with the community so that we know what is happening in Inanda, what is happening in Imauti and the likes, so that we can be able to assist if there are those people who are not complying with the provision of the Farms Control Act.
And you say that you need more cooperation from the members of the public. What does that look like?
Bongiwe, if I can take you down the process, whenever a firearm is applied for, I'm talking about the legal firearm, which we to an extent agree that is a source of illegal firearms. When a firearm is being applied for, before a license can be issued, there is this so-called background check, which is done with the family members and the neighbors. 10 to 1, we only get positive information about these people. No, he's a good person. No, he's of good character. Just for later on to find out that this person is actually a violent person, and everybody's scared of him in the community, but that information is not forthcoming. Hence, I'm saying the collaboration, when this person applies for a firearm, tell the truth as it is. Yes.
And Prof, when we look at crime, for example, the impact on everyday lives, everyday South Africans, you see that, for example, a cash and transit heist, we see that they've got high caliber weapons, and one wonders, where do they get them from?
Remember, most illegal firearms used to be legal. And now what adds to the pool of illegal firearm is through theft and also some loss. And again, through corruption, because some confiscated firearms end up in the hands of those syndicates. That is why now you see them rumoring around, freely showing them off, because now the system has issues with what? Few rotten potatoes in the system that will let what? Let those confiscated or unwanted firearms into the streets. And again, our porous borders have contributed immensely to those firearms that are utilized. And again, if now we zoom into the issues of the Criminal Procedure Act, for example, that I will always talk about, where now officers that are supposed to protect themselves, criminal procedure says they must now utilize a reasonable force when effecting arrest, while a perpetrator or suspect is in possession of that firearm which an officer doesn't have. So now there are loopholes there, because now an officer, according to Criminal Procedure Act, effecting an arrest is when now you utilizing reasonable force, is when you have the same ammunition and they don't have. But again, I agree with the SAPS that the police alone cannot win this. Community members are aware of members or family members that are owning firearms. That is why issue of amnesty is poorly understood within black communities. We have a huge problem of firearms that were previously owned by a deceased person. Community members or family members will want to hold on to that. So that has also contributed to the pool of illegal firearms in the street, because family members will want to hold on to that, and the processing or management of the deceased firearm there are issues there. That is why he's saying alone they cannot do it. It's members of the community that know where these firearms are from and who owns a firearm in the community.
Brigadier, when we come back, I want us to talk about the issue that Prof is raising about corruption within the system. How much of a headache is that for the SAPS, especially when it comes to the guns ending up in the wrong hands? Mbugel, unganyakaza siyabuya khona manje. Mbugele siphinde sikwamukele ku Asikhulume. Let's talk sino Vincent wase Johannesburg. Vincent, sawubona. Vincent, sawubona, ungaqhubeka baba.
Yeah, no, mina bengithi South Africa ingalunga. Maba kanikeza amaphoyisa power ukuthi basebenze. Amaphoyisa South Africa babophezanga, bafuna ukusebenza. Bale iprobe government ebathwele yakhe. Abanikeza amaphoyisa power bazoyenza umsebenzi wabo. Labantu bathupha kula South Africa babuya ngaphandle. Yibo bazibaphethe ezibhamu labasithathela izimoto benza into bayifuna kubayenza la South Africa. Mara moyo le kuZimbabwe abayezi, moyo le Lesotho abayezi, moyo Mozambique abayezi. Benza la South Africa ngoba bazi ukuthi amaphoyisa South Africa awana power. Adubuli. Abenzi nesibanikeza itsoti power ukuthi itsoti idubuli, iphoyisa lidubuli.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vincent Loyo Osegoli, sharing the same sentiments as Prof, as we heard earlier on. Agasizwe nini ukuthi nithini einkundleni zethu zokuxhumana, so thatha sibone nje sicaphune ukuthi sibone ukuthi nithini ku Facebook ngalokho, ngoba vele siyabuza kakhulu ngale ndaba yeZibhamu. Ake sibone nje uDavid uthi kusukela ngonyaka 2005 uhulumeni wamemezela kubo bonke abahlali baseNingizimu Afrika ukuthi wonke umuntu onesibhamu esingemthetho makasilethe, angeke baboshwe. Abaphinde futhi bashayela umthetho wokulethwa kwezibhamu ngoshwele. Okay, uDavid uNhlanhla lo uthi mhlambe ushwele kufanele abuye, ngoba mhlambe ushwele mayingabuya abantu bangakwazi ukuthi bayibuyise izibhamu. Usibusiso uthi border management control should be reinforced. Uma kusachanaswa nje bezingenela beyiphumela akukho okuyolunga. Ngiyacabanga futhi nayo iyaqhamuka indaba yemngcele futhi I suppose it's a big one. Uthokozani uthi ayikho into engenziwa ngoba vele abanye bayithola kulamaphoyisa ayizigebengu kodwa hayi wonke. Uthokozani ke lo. Ake sibuyele Mbukele ku Brigadier ngoba yumbuzo sifuna ukumbuza wona lo. Brigadier, nangu noThokozane uyasho futhi uthi abanye izibhamu bayithola emaphoyiseni. uProf nayo uyasho ukuthi abanye futhi izibhamu bayithola emaphoyiseni. Ake sibuzeke kuwena ukuthi ngabe kuyinkinga enkulu kangakanani lokho emaphoyiseni? How big of a problem is this?
Thanks, Bongiwe. Let me start from where the Prof left off, the issue regarding the high caliber firearms. You'll be surprised that at some of the scenes, your occasion transit scenes and all these serious scenes, we do come across firearms that are not of South African origin, meaning they are not on the firearm control system. So you ask yourself, how did these firearms get into the country? Yes, as pointed out, porous borders is a challenge. And your last point as well, corruption at the various level of operation. So, but then I must indicate that we do have plans in place now to reinforce the border controls. As you'll have known, there's what you call a BMA, the Border Management Authority there already, in conjunction with the SAPS and the SANDF. They are collaborating. Their collaboration is not so long, but they are working towards getting a workable solution towards the borders. But then corruption is the main challenge. And this doesn't happen really under the nose of the leadership of the police. We don't see these things. It is being perpetrated. You know, for a corruption to happen, there must be a corrupter and a corruptee. So someone is corrupting or is seeking favor, and someone is doing the other one a favor. So those with the know-how, those who know who's doing these things should inform us. If they are not comfortable to talk to us, they can call our Crime Stop call center number at 08600 10111.
All right.
We also have National Anti-Corruption Hotline at 0800 701 701.
Brigadier,
so that we can jointly address this pandemic of corruption.
I'm going to ask you to repeat those numbers towards the end of the program, but let's take Usandile Sekoli. Sandile, sawubona.
Sawubona ma.
Yebo Sandile, ungaqhubeka baba.
Mama, inkinga ekhona injini ayikho into ezisubuhlungu eSouth Africa njengogovernment wethu. Ugovernment wethu uyena osicindezelayo ngoba isigebengu sisemphakathini. Into esemphakathini mama ebuhlungu kakhulu. Umphakathi obonayo. Manje ugovernment ayethi nangibona isigebengu ngireport. Isibize amaphoyisa. Ungathola amaphoyisa asefotesha amavena wekho hlala lapha esitulweni. Uhlala esitulweni abekho umuntu okuncedayo. Amaphoyisa kudlalwa ngawo ukuthi amaphoyisa ayasebenza wenza umsebenzi wawo.
All right, Butandile siyabonga kakhulu. Professor Pose, it goes back to what you said earlier on, that in some of the instances there seems to be restrictions and the justice may favor the offender. And in some of the instances you find police finding themselves being constrained. One would then ask, right, when it comes into this, how do you deal with something like Usandile is raising right now? We are they're saying call the police, you call the police, vans are simply not there. Sometimes we see even the vans gathering dust in some of these police stations.
Indeed, that is one huge contributor, because now communities end up being frustrated because of the lack of tools of trades. Our police officers don't have equipment to attend to this evolved crime. And I don't think they are at a stage where they are moving with the pace, because an offender is 2 steps ahead and the system is a bit slow. So if you check with regard to how crime has evolved, the SAPS is a bit behind due to lack of equipment, technology, and so forth, because the caliber of an offender we have lately is highly rational to an extent that they used well-refined technology, right? But you find an officer that is not even able to utilize certain technology. So we're not moving with time. That is why we are found wanting as justice system, because an offender will plan. We are always what? Reactive. They do as they please, and then we have to come and try to catch up, and we are not winning. That is why now this looks like we are failing. We are losing the battle against crime because we are highly reactive. But what contributes to that? poor intelligence. We need a system overhaul when it comes to crime intelligence in South Africa. Looking at Inanda, there should be high-level intelligence there that should analyze that community to project what comes ahead, what to expect next week, what kind of community is it, who lives there. Don't they have informers, for example, to tell them that this is the kind of an offender we have and this is the caliber of syndicate and which community near Inanda is vulnerable. That is not in place. We're waiting for that group to move because now the focus is on Inanda. What about nearing communities, right? Now there will be what? Spatial place displacement. Crime will move to another community as we focus on Inanda because we lack intelligence. And
I want us to talk about that, Uguti. This lack of intelligence, how does it impact even knowing where the guns are? Yeah. Because that's also part of the problem. Let's quickly look at the solutions. Brigadier, I'm going to start with you briefly. If you were to look at what we've spoken about today, there's the issue of the register that you listen to some of the viewers talk about. You listen to the issue of corruption and all of that. What's the one thing that SAPS needs to do now in order to curb the number of illegal firearms we're seeing on the streets?
Thank you, Bongiwe. It won't be one thing. It cannot be a one-size-fits-all. There's a number of issues that need to be done.
But what is the one thing? What is the one thing? We don't have a lot of time. What's the one thing now, in about 30 seconds, that you say should be done?
Okay. We need to integrate our systems with our sister departments, like our Home Affairs, to make sure that we enhance control around the borders. And we also need to strengthen our crime intelligence to make sure that we get sufficient information to operationalize through our Operation Chanelas and many others.
All right, Prof, for you, what becomes that one area? Because I'm listening to Brigadier, it's still something that I'm still wondering, why have we not done up until now to integrate the systems?
One, review Criminal Procedure Act, multi-sectoral approach, like he said, and then again, review of the Firearm Control Act, particularly around ownership, who qualifies and who doesn't. We need now to go back and tighten up that loose end. Not everybody should own or qualifies, because it seems like whatever test is taken, there are loopholes because guns are owned by wrong people.
Sure, lots to discuss still, even on this matter. But thank you so much to you for your time. Our guest, the Professor Kulufelo Rakubu in studio. She's a criminologist, professor from the Tshwane University of Technology. And Sibonge Kakhulu Mbugeli, even to our SAPS guest, Brigadier, who has been speaking to us as well. And you think about the importance of this issue. And Brigadier Leseja Popape, Section Head, Firearm Compliance and Enforcement from the South African Police Service, raising a number of serious issues there. Kodwa sibonga nakuwe Mbugeli ukuthi uhlanganyele kanye nathi nehambeli zethu. Asethemba ukuthi nizoqhubeka ngokukhuluma ngalokho enkundleni zokuxhumana ayixabene.